Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to office.com.pk. This is your own platform where you come and learn. Dear students, we try our best to provide you with handy short notes so that you can memorize difficult topics on your fingertips. Dear students, in the last lecture, we have been discussing about the growth and development in animals. And we studied that almost all the animals have certain developmental stages in common. They include the formation of gametes. Almost all the animals, they give rise to gametes if they are to reproduce sexually. The male gamete is known as the sperm and the female gamete is known as the egg. The next stage, which is common in all the animals, is the fertilization of an egg with a sperm. Dear students, we took a chick embryo as our model of study and we studied different developmental changes that take place and change a chick embryo into a completely developed adult chicken. And we have studied almost 5 stages, which include the fertilization and incubation. Number 2 is the cleavage or repetitive division, mitotic division. Number 3 was morula stage, which is nothing but a ball of blastomeres or the cells. And the fourth one was the blastula stage, in which the cells, they arrange themselves in the form of blastoderm and they give rise to a cavity known as blastocele. The next stage was gastrulation. In the gastrulation stage, the cells, they arrange themselves in the form of various layers known as the epiblast and the hypoblast, which further give rise to ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. Ectoderm is basically the outer layer, mesoderm is the middle layer and the endoderm is the innermost layer. Dear students, the change of an embryo from one form to another is because of the continuous movement and migration of the cells between different layers. They give rise to different layers as well as different cavities at different stages of the development of the chick. Today, the topic which we are going to discuss is the formation of notochord and mesoderm. The notochord is a very important tube-like structure or rod-like structure which is characteristic property of chordates. And after the development is completed, notochord changes into nucleus pulposa, which is the middle portion or which is present inside the spinal cord. So this structure is important as it gives rise to central nervous system. Side by side, there is formation of mesoderm. Mesoderm also gives rise to a lot of systems and organs. This lecture is very much important, so you have to pay very much attention towards it. In the formation of notochord, the first stage is the formation of central groove or primitive streak. As you can see in the diagram, as the development proceeds, the whole embryo, it elongates in size, because after all we have to increase the size of the chick so that it can attain its standard size. So here, as you can see, the size becomes larger, the embryo elongates, and there is a formation of a central groove. Central groove appears because of the migration of the cells from the epiblast as well as the hypoblast. So this groove or deep depth-like structure is known as the primitive streak. The primitive streak rapidly increases in its length. It increases this way as well as this way. From both the ends, it increases in its length. The cells, they continue to move and they continue to aggregate in the middle. due to which the sides of the primitive streak they become thicker, and hence they form the edges of the primitive streak. The edges of the primitive streak are known as primitive ridges. Ridges means edges. They are actually the thick margins of primitive streak. The primitive streak has two nodes. One is known as the primitive notochord node, which will give rise to notochord, and the other one is the mesodermal node, which will form the mesoderm. Dear students, the end which will give rise to the head is known as the cephalic end. Cephalic means the head region. So, the region which will give rise to head is known as the cephalic end. Here the cells they start to aggregate and closely packed together. This point is known as Hansen's node, and I have labeled it as HN as an abbreviation. So this is Hansen's node. Hansen's node will become the future head of the new organism. Now there is continuous movement of the cells from Hansen's node to form a rod-like structure, and this rod-like structure is visible, clearly visible after 18 hours. Means the notochord, it becomes visible after 18 hours of incubation. After almost 20 hours, the ectoderm, it spreads over the yolk, and these ends, the peripheral ends, they merge with the yolk. The cavity which is now formed is the gastrocele. The gastrocele, it replaces the blastocele, and the other name of gastrocele is primitive gut. Gut means the gastrointestinal tract. So gastrocele is the cavity that will become the future gastrointestinal tract of the new organism. The Hansen node cells, they form the dorsal or the upper mesoderm. Dorsal means the upper mesoderm. Here the collection of cells, various collections of cells known as somites are also present. The somites are collection of cells that will give rise to future organs. Means some organs are formed with the help of somites.